Hi, can you tell us your name and a little about yourself, as well as what you do as the fundraising manager at CHECT?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Priyanka. I'm the fundraising manager at CHECT. I joined last October, and I've been in the charity world for 15 years, but let's not say that. And as a fundraising manager, I'm basically responsible for making sure that all the income from different types of fundraising activities are raised and raised in the correct way. And I help people to find the different ways that they want to fundraise money for CHECT, but also develop different partnerships. So, because it's not always about income, it's also raising awareness, it's making sure people understand what we do and also the impact that we have.
What does a normal day look like for you at work?
So I smile because a normal day is very different every day, which is what I love about the job, where, one day I'll be looking at budgets and looking at our income to make sure that we're on the right lines. Another day might be kind of responding to emails and phone calls from our supporters, or it might be kind of looking at the different ways in which we can fundraise and let all of our supporters know kind of, there are so many different ways people can fundraise and get involved in CHECT. And so it's a nice way for me to make sure that we are ticking kind of all the boxes, because not everyone wants to, for example, do a challenge event or kind of, sit in front of a camera. So making sure that there's a really good variety for people. But I would say it's very mixed every day, which is the beauty of the role.
How do you come up with ways to raise money for CHECT?
I suppose it's about being creative, really, and it's making sure that for me, that I'm asking our supporters how they want to get involved. So it's not about me as a fundraising manager kind of dictating ways in which they should get involved. It's about asking them the best ways for them, because everyone has different abilities, everyone has different interests. So I want to make sure that I can give a real variety of the different ways people can get involved in the charity, whether that's raising income, whether that's being a volunteer, whether that's writing a blog for us or being on social media. So I can make sure that I'm kind of always just keeping up with kind of what our donors want, what's happening in the industry, and just being aware of everyone's circumstances.
How does the money you raise help kids and families like mine who are dealing with retinoblastoma?
So we're really proud to say that 100% of all the income raised goes towards the families that need us. And that's for as long as they need us. It could be right from the onset to when they're kind of thinking about having children themselves, and kind of coming back to us and asking us questions about possible risks of, their children. So, for us, the money raised makes sure that we can support our families for as long as they need us.
Can you share a story about a fundraising event that went really well and made a big difference?
Yeah, of course. I'm actually going to give two examples, because one was an event and one was something slightly different. So I suppose the biggest success we've had so far is the London Marathon. That was in April this year, and it was the biggest London Marathon that we've had to date. So we had a team of, I think there was about 14 of them, and they all did so well, and they raised the most that we've ever had from a London Marathon team. And what made it so lovely was that we all managed to get together at a pub afterwards, and it was a really lovely way to meet the runners, meet the families, and it really just shows the impact of our work and a real sense of that community. So it was lovely. It was such a wonderful day. The other example is we did a Christmas campaign in December last year, where it was very simple, and it was a time where we were struggling a little bit with our funds, and we didn't really know what to do. So we had the idea of writing a very honest, heartfelt letter to all of our supporters, just saying, you know what, really, we really need your help. We're really struggling with getting the funds in so we can support the families that really need our help and making sure that we're there for them. And what ended up happening was actually being really transparent and having a really heartfelt letter just meant that it was so lovely to see the comments, how much people wanted to help, how much people wanted to get involved. And I think it just shows that actually just being really honest and having that kind of transparency was so important for us. And it's something now that we do kind of forever, really, and just making sure that we're always keeping our supporters up to date with, you know, what we're doing, what we need, and who we are.
How can people in the community, like my friends and neighbours, help raise money for CHECT?
Yeah, so there's so many different ways. There's so many different ways, you know, your friends, your community can get involved. And, you know, it could be something like they could take part in a challenge event. So one of the campaigns or challenges that we're launching in September is the 50k Your Way challenge. So for on average, the 50 children that are diagnosed with retinoblastoma every year, we're trying to get people to cover the distance of 50 k's or 50 kilometres in the month of September. So that's one way. And you don't have to do it all on your own. You can do it as a team, or you can get the whole family involved. Other ways is that if you work for a corporate, we're asking corporates to get involved and partner with us. So whether that's with a charity of the year, or whether they kind of do a bake sale for us, or, you know, you have some people who are not physically active or cannot get involved in those ways. So we also have other ways, like we say, why don't you take part in our lottery program? So you pay £1 and you have a chance of, you know, getting money back as a winner. Other things involve if you're celebrating a milestone, for example, so it could be a big birthday, it could be an anniversary, we say, well, instead of getting presents, why don't you ask your friends, your family to donate to CHECT instead, and ask for kind of donations instead of presents. So that's just a handful of ways that you can get involved, but there are so many.
What fun or unique fundraising ideas have you tried or seen?
Fun or unique? Gosh. Fun or unique? I suppose, you know, for us, challenge events and people getting involved in lots of different sporting events has been really popular for CHECT. So what we've now done is we've expanded that a little bit more. So we're now offering things like skydives and being able to, I know, people do jump out of planes. I don't think it's something I could ever do, but they do.
I could definitely do that.
I reckon.
Yeah.
I might have to get you signed up then. Or there's things like, you know, people tend to cycle really long distances, so they can cycle along the length of the Wall of China, or they can cycle the Sahara Desert. So we're starting to offer a lot more, but I think for me, I stick to running personally. I can do a run. I cannot jump out of a plane.
What are some of the hardest parts of raising money, and how do you deal with them?
I think sometimes the current climate really affects people and their finances. So what we're now seeing is that, you know, less of our supporters are able to donate at all, or the amounts that they used to. So we're starting to see that kind of the effect of the current climate and, you know, the hardships for people. So now what we're trying to do is actually, those who can afford it, we're asking them to maybe give a little bit more if they can, or we're just looking at different ways that we can raise our income. So, you know, for those who can't do it, maybe we start looking at more corporate partnerships, or we look at kind of other opportunities to help make up that shortfall.
What makes you want to work in fundraising or retinoblastoma?
I think for me, you know, it's in some ways, you know, I'm so empowered when I see someone like you, or you know, the many children that have had retinoblastoma and still tackle everyday life, and you're so resilient and you're able to just conquer the world and be able to go, you know what, I'm still able to do all the things that I want to do. And just seeing that makes my job so much more worthwhile, because it makes me feel, well, you know what, if you can tackle that, then I can go out and try and make sure that we are able to support the families that need us, so then they grow up and the children can feel empowered to do whatever they want. And it's amazing to see that transformation. And so for me, it's, you know, I feel so honoured to be able to work for a charity like this, where, you know, for me, I feel like I'm such a small part in such a big support system. And so it makes me put a smile on my face every day when I come into work, because I know I'm just making that little difference, really.
What are your dreams for future fundraising, and how do you plan to make them happen?
So for me and for CHECT, we really want to raise our income to make sure that we're comfortable, we're in a position where the income's really, really stable and sustainable. So we're looking at different ways, that maybe the ways that we used to rely on for supporters and existing kind of fundraising activities that we had, we're starting to expand a bit more. So it doesn't mean that we're putting all of our eggs in one basket. It just means that we're able to offer a bit more. So we're now looking at other ways of getting involved. So, I mean, you know, you're clearly in the digital world, but, you know, looking at things like gaming, because that's become a really big way to fundraise. Or looking at, you know, I mean, you can do so many things in the digital world. There are so many opportunities now, and so we're starting to expand and look at, okay, you know, we'll still keep the traditional ways of fundraising, but also expand. So we have, you know, younger generations that want to get involved and actually be able to appeal to you guys with things like gaming or vlogging or something like that. So that's what we're looking at now.
Well, that's it.
Well, thank you.